And my name is Catherine Nanteza. We continue talking legal with our counsel who is so knowledgeable. We enjoyed this conversation last week when we were talking, what do you need to know before you buy a condominium, before you build a condominium? And we cut that short, so we continue today with our counsel, Counsel Lincoln Mugaga Mpaji. Please say hi to our viewers.
Hello viewers, hi everyone back home watching us. My name, as Catherine has introduced me, my name is Lincoln Mugaga Mpaji, an advocate at KT Advocates. So it's an honor being on this show. Yes,
you bring in another term, advocate, counsel. Where is the difference and which one are we supposed to be using?
I think the difference is a similarity at this rate. Advocate, you must be enrolled with the High Court of Uganda.
Okay.
As an advocate, yes.
And counsel?
It's the same thing.
Same thing. They are enrolled. So the one who just finished at Makere, what do we call them?
That's a lawyer.
A lawyer. So the lawyer is without the...
You have to go through the LDC.
The lawyer is one who hasn't gone through LDC.
You have to go through the LDC.
Oh.
Get enrolled at the High Court.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the advocate and counsel himself. We were talking last week and you were explaining to us what one building a condominium block needs to know. Yes, and we pick it up from there. You explained that as one buying a condominium property, there are 3 rights or 3 things we get to associate with the homeowner in a condominium block. Yes, could we pick it up from there? You had talked of, in summary, of one, they automatically become an owner.
Oh, yes. Yes. So, following from the previous episode,
yes,
an ownership of condominium property creates a 3-fold legal relationship between the purchaser and the rest of the homeowners or the unit owners. 1, by right, you're an owner of a unit. That means you own land. Okay? 2, but you're equally a joint owner of the common property with the rest of the unit owners. Okay? So you cannot claim the lifts are yours, or only people destined to your unit should use the lifts, and anyone found using those lifts will be considered trespassing. No. So you're a joint owner of the common property with other owners. But 3, and which is important, is you become an automatic member of the corporation governing the administration of that condominium where your unit is. Yes.
Yes, Lincoln, can one buy a whole condominium block, like buy out all the owners if they talk to the corporation nicely?
Well, the corporation is by the unit owners. Okay, it's made up by the unit owners. And of course, in Uganda, we have freedom of contract. Really, there's an example used where a developer has handed over to the corporation and the corporation or the corporation does not exercise their rights and does not carry out their administrative obligations under the law. Okay, and the condos go to waste and people want to move on. So usually decisions by corporations have to be unanimous, 1. 2, they have to be by a resolution. Okay, so a resolution to sell has to be unanimous. But remember, a unit is private property. So it has its own certificate of title, it's capable of being transferred, pledged, charged, the way an owner of a piece of land in Gayaza is. Okay, so someone can go ahead and buy an entire block.
So if I am dealing with the corporation for a condominium and I'm a supplier, for instance, they want to repaint the exteriors and redo the gardening, do I need the consent of all the owners, or I just deal with the corporation as a supplier?
Yes, thank you very much. And we've had issues by suppliers or by different unit owners wanting to color the exterior of their units to look a bit different from the rest of the owners. But again, I'll tell you this: once a corporation has been formed, the owners of those units, all the homeowners, are the members of that corporation. So all decisions to be made have to be done by the corporation. One of the roles of the corporation is, one, they ensure that the state of the condominium is in the right mode, or is in repairable, is in good state. Okay, so you cannot. One of the factors you realize that are appealing to purchasers of these units usually could be exterior as well. How the condo looks at the exterior. So what happens when you're a homeowner, you want to color the exterior surface black? You have to run this by the corporation first. You cannot do anything to the condominium block without running it by the corporation. I know we like being colorful as Ugandans, but please, as homeowners, desist from such activities. It's one, administratively you incur a lot of expenses because this has not been done. This has not been agreed to by the corporation, and equally, what you're doing has an adverse effect on the rest of the unit owners.
I can imagine if, say, same people wants to color their exterior purple, and the next one wants to make it blue, and we will have a rainbow.
Yes, you have a rainbow. It will be called the rainbow apartment. But
don't I have some rights, at least maybe with the interior, if I wanted to change it?
Yes. The interior of your unit is clearly up to you, the homeowner. How you color it is really up to you. The exterior, however, this you have to run it by the corporation.
But you're talking like condominium is only a block of apartments. Isn't condominium also like those estates, the single or semi-detached or detached unit?
Not really.
Like royal palms or...
There is always a misconception. We use the word apartments and condominiums interchangeably.
How?
The difference is apartments do not necessarily. Okay, if you have an apartment in Kulambiro or Chihuatule where you stay, that parcel of land, okay, is under one title. Okay, it's by a developer set up apartments, rented those apartments to people. Different, but they do not have individual ownership of those apartments.
They do not have multiple ownership.
There are no certificates of title for those apartments. Okay, so that is the difference. With condominium, all the unit owners have their certificates of title. All of them have their certificates of title. They are free to mortgage those titles. They are free to create charges over their units. They are free to transfer those units. You cannot transfer an apartment to your brother. You cannot take it to the bank.
But can condominiums be apartments? I know apartments may not be condominiums, but can condominiums be apartments?
Condominiums cannot be apartments. They can. A condominium is the total collection of the multiple units. That's the condominium housing. However, the units are capable of individual ownership.
You're confusing us, Lincoln.
The units are individually owned. I won't use that capable. They're individually owned with separate titles. Okay?
But what I'm asking is, those units, can they be like where we are here, different offices on one block being owned by different owners? Or like Universal has Macau. Can it be, and in Macau there are different units, which we commonly call apartments. When do they become condominium and when do they stay apartments? Or when does it stay an office floor or when does it become a condominium?
An apartment, office space, whatever you call it, does not become condominium unless a plan to that effect has been submitted to the registrar, unless a certificate of title, a condominium title has been created for that unit. And you cannot have, and it cannot be one unit
in a whole. Okay. So Lincoln, before we go for the break, who knew that legal can be this interesting? I mean, if I am a developer, okay, an investor, and I come and buy Sewan Kambo's block of apartments that he has been renting out, but now I buy that whole block and I want to turn it into condominium. Is that possible legally?
Yes, it is. Following what we discussed in the previous episode, you must submit your plans to the physical planning authority.
No, this time it's already built.
Yes. Because now what you're entering into is a different regime of ownership and land use. Okay, setting up condominiums has to get that approval from the authorities. You must make that filing at the registry that there's going to be a change in usage of this block. We are converting this to condominium. You have to show the plans as well. You have to resubmit, because usually when Sewan Kambo was building, he did not submit to you. Chances are he submitted one plan of what you got from his architect and his engineers in developing the apartments.
Yes.
Okay, but you're now coming in to create
subtitles
out of the entire apartment.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take our break and we will be back still talking condominium law, condominiums, and what you need to know. Welcome back from that brief break. We continue with the conversation on condominiums. Lincoln, like there's so much to ask and it's all running in my head, but you said as a homeowner in a condominium property, I can sell my unit?
Yes, you can sell, not even can. You can sell your unit, it's your property. It's your property.
Do I need to consult the whole corporation when selling?
The same way you can notify, you can notify especially the corporation, your intended sale, okay, of your unit, okay. The same with renting out your unit. The owner, the law places an onus on you, the unit owner, to always notify the corporation on a new tenant. If you have a new tenant, administratively to always know who is where and what's going on. And even when it comes to change of use of your unit, for example, you bought, you might have a unit and you want to convert it to an office.
Okay.
Or you want to convert it to a restaurant. Okay, you have to notify the corporation. Okay, and even when you do that, or even modifying, let me say you want to take down, but the modification is a bit more technical. If you want to take down, let me say, a wall to expand your sitting room or your living room, then that one you have to run it by the planning authorities again.
Yes, just to deviate a bit from all that, Kensington, Royal Palms, NSSF, those villas and semi-detached units or detached units, what title do they get? Is it a condominium title?
The villas, well, if the units are for sale.
Developed by one developer, yes, for sale.
If the units are for sale, you're getting a condominium title.
Condominium title. Most of us think condominiums are only high-rise buildings. So you're saying even those...
The condominiums are for units in a block. If you're getting these separate other units, that cannot be condominium now.
So Lincoln, I was asking, the Kensingtons, the Green Top Villas, all these villas, Mirembe Villas, Royal Palms, are they also under the condominium law or they are not condominiums?
Well, those are not condominiums.
Okay.
Those are condominiums. These are estates. Yes, they could be organized. They have common facilities, swim areas, and whatnot, but they're not condominiums. Condominiums, strictly, we are looking at housing that has multiple units. Okay, but with individual ownership of those units. When you the test you always have is the floor, the structure, lateral support, and the ceiling. As long as we are joined by that, we are getting condo.
Wow. Talking about that, if I got a problem with my condominium unit after the developer has handed over to the corporation, say, I'll give you two scenarios and please help me answer both. One, if probably it's in my unit, maybe the ceiling falls or there is a crack in the wall and I'm at risk with my unit, who do I run to? Do I run to the developer or do I go to the corporation? Then as you answer that, the second question is, if the whole building is built in a wrong area, say it's in a wetland and it has to be brought down, or it was built on the wrong title and the new claimant doesn't want this block on it and it has to be brought down, who is going to compensate me? How am I protected? Okay.
Thank you so much, Catherine. You raised two important issues. The first one, once you enter into agreements with various developers, always ensure you've done your due diligence. Okay? By due diligence, I think you remember what we talked about in terms of engaging these professionals, the engineers, the architect. You get an independent report of probably the structural integrity of the electricals, and you enter into something well knowing that this is fit for housing or for accommodation. So where your ceiling falls in and you do not have a corporation in place, you contact the developer first. But the role of the corporation, once in place and a handover has been done by a developer to the corporation, you always consult the corporation first, state your case. And usually when we always advise our clients that when a corporation, when a corporation has been put in place, there is a list of documentation under the law that you have to request for. I call it, I create an obligatory purpose, because we've seen so many of these scenarios of this nature. Okay, you must get the structural reports, the electrical reports. You must get the management agreement, a copy of that. You must get the bylaws, all these things. You have to request that, because chances are when the developer was putting up this structure, you weren't present.
Yes.
Okay, so the corporation has the mandate, or the onus is on it to have this run by an independent source. Okay, have these mechanical guys come in
before they take over.
Even after they've taken over. Okay, so that usually in these agreements there's a clause on defects liability. Of course, this is not to say that there won't be reasonable tear and wear. Of course, yeah. But once you enter into a building and 2-3 weeks in, you're already seeing cracks on your ceiling, that should cause alarm. And usually in these agreements, there's an onus on the developer to have this fixed or remedied. But a crack in the ceiling, what does that mean for the person above you? And then the person above him. You get? So some of these are so serious, they go to the core of the agreement.
In that case, do we have to vacate the entire building?
If you love your life, you must vacate this. You must vacate these buildings, and I wouldn't wouldn't advise our clients to keep occupying these until, because that is a serious breach of trust on the part of the developer. But secondly,
so by law, is the developer supposed to rent for me somewhere as they fix whatever is wrong?
Once the corporation has put this to the notice of the developer is supposed to come in and remedy that, if they are still within that defects liability period. Other than that, the corporation is mandated to have those expenses collected from the different unit owners to properly make the administration of the building tenable to the unit owners, and have it, but also one of the other reasons is having the property in good repair. Okay, but the repairs that go to the cracks of the accommodation and cracks in walls,
That's for the developer.
that once you get a report from a qualified engineer, you can tell this is really, really risky. Then I think that is something that you have to take up.
You didn't answer. Does he get to rent me somewhere else while he fixes? Legally.
That can be sorted between the two parties. Okay, but I've seen scenarios where the developers usually come in and remedy that. Well, if it cannot be remedied, then a consensus has to be done.
Okay. Then the other question, where the whole building must come down.
Of course, again, go back to due diligence. You're entering into a transaction with condominiums built in a wetland. How sure are we that you did your due diligence? You're entering in, how sure are we that the right personnel or the right offices were contacted in terms of physical planning? How was this building commissioned? How was this construction commissioned?
But Lincoln, isn't that some of our government's responsibility? Isn't government supposed to protect us, the users of these buildings, with things like occupation permit or those kind of permits, where we are not supposed to occupy a building before those permits are in place? So in case the developer has these permits and it has to come down, isn't that supposed to be handled by government?
Yes, the government cannot even allow the building to go up. It should not. Exactly. It should not. And this is it's a clarion call to the government and to the bodies and authorities that are responsible for these constructions in these areas. There's been a lot of I won't call it a lot of turning of a blind eye. A lot of negligence of sorts. Okay, so and this has really been costly in the long run, to not only to the developer himself, but to the rest of these individuals that occupy these units. You can pass through certain areas and see a lot of backfilling in swamps. Okay, and this happens under the watch of the local leaders.
Even constructions going up with no approvals, exactly, with no plans.
So it's something. Of course, we've been making this call for ages, and we usually do not wait for our clients to make that cry. We usually, once our due diligences are done, we pull the rug immediately. So we cannot enter into such transactions. I would advise our clients or anyone else to enter into that transaction once there's a red flag on the due diligence, right from construction. Yes.
Wow. I'm still thinking, many of our people are buying units. I think you didn't talk about that. Can I buy a condominium space within an office building like this? Or like workers' house or wherever, if it was to be put up as a condominium property? Can I buy office space, a single room like this, and part of a building? And then many of our people are buying hotel rooms, studio apartments abroad.
Yes.
How are they safe,
What I can say is when these developments are being done, the developer has to signify what is the intent of the occupation of these developments. Is it a mixed use? Is it both residential and commercial? Is it strictly commercial? Is it strictly residential? So chances are, if you're making a purchase of an office space on a commercial block, that request will be turned down, and even that transaction is illegal.
Illegal, if the entire building wasn't.
Yes, this is a commercial block. Okay, it has closing hours. Expect some noise. Okay, even some of the amenities for home won't be on that block.
No, I'm saying to own an office. on a block.
So if you own an office on a residential block, it's still the development of that block was not meant for commercial purposes. It's a residential block. But of course, if you're going to change the use of your particular unit, you have to run it by the corporate.
In one unit, are we safe buying condominiums out of Uganda? Like someone owning a hotel apartment or a studio or a space within, say, Burj Khalifa?
Well, if the laws of that country permit that, there's nothing wrong with that. But chances are they won't permit that, because if you're looking at, I'll use Burj. If you're looking at Burj Khalifa, that's a hotel.
That is selling. They are selling. Yes, hotel units.
If you're getting a certificate of title for that unit,
yes, they are giving them out.
Why not?
Because most Ugandans fear to make such purchases.
No, please, and this is a call on Ugandans. At least one of the disadvantages we have, and one of the disadvantages condominium housing has in Uganda is information. Yes, we have the laws. Yes. We cannot say that there are no laws regulating, but Ugandans have not clearly internalized condominium housing. We still believe in the large space. I'd rather have a Chibanja way out in Maokota than, come to Kololo or any of these developments and have a condominium housing. So one of the gaps you have is the information gap. So I would really recommend, if someone does have the finances, to take on condominium.
Thank you. It's been a very interesting discussion, Councillor Lincoln. Thank you for your time, and dear viewers, thank you for hanging in there with us. Who knew that you really need a lawyer and that law could be this interesting? I've had a good time with you, and hope to see you next time.